So you're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and nobody wants to play a healer. Well, after a long and difficult fight, everybody's going to be weak, hurt, and need to rest for hours to get all their hit points back. This is going to slow the entire game down, right? Wrong! This is the exact situation that the stamina variant rule was created for. Howdy, my name is Nonat, and welcome to my first video covering a variant rule. So what is a variant rule? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an additional optional rule that you can use to tweak the game's system to better fit your table. Today we're looking over the stamina variant. Now this is designed with low magic campaigns in mind, or even just games where nobody feels like playing a healer. Let's dive a bit deeper and take a look at how it does this. But first, a word from our sponsor. Great. So the entire system is based around a whole new stat called stamina points. These function almost identically to character hit points and are lost upon taking damage. The big difference is that stamina points are far easier to recover than hit points. Looking at the stamina and hit point table on page 200 of the Game Mastery Guide, we can see how it all works out. Effectively, a large portion of each character's hit points are instead converted into stamina points. So instead of a barbarian having 12 plus their constitution and hit points, they would have 6 hit points and 6 plus constitution stamina points. As you can see, this variant rule doesn't change your maximum health in any way, it just divides it into 2 separate stats. So a human barbarian at level 1 with a +3 to constitution would have 9 stamina points and 14 hit points. 8 hit points from their ancestry and 6 hit points from their class. Whenever the barbarian takes damage, it will always be deducted from their stamina points first, and then once their stamina reaches 0, then they start losing hit points from damage. If they happen to take more damage than their remaining stamina points, all the excess damage does get reduced from their hit points. Now, so far, stamina and hit points have basically functioned the exact same way, but where they start to differ is how they are restored. Hit points still function like normal. They can be restored via magic or consumable, or even a full night's rest. But stamina points work differently. Unlike hit points, stamina points cannot be restored via magic or consumable, unless you homebrew something in. Stamina is restored by spending resolve points. All characters have a number of resolve points per day equal to their key ability modifier, so typically you'll have either 3 or 4 resolve points per day at low level. These resolve points have some unique abilities you can use, and plenty of room to homebrew your own, but I'll just be going through the ones that are here in the Game Mastery Guide. First off, you can spend a resolve point to stabilize yourself while dying. This still inflicts the wounded condition like normal stabilization. However, unlike normal stabilization, at the start of your following turn, you actually gain 1 hit point and get back into combat. You're likely prone on the ground, but otherwise you can act like normal. Now, even the book agrees that this is very powerful, and actually recommends removing the stabilizing effect from hero points to help balance it out. Next, Take a Breather is simple. You spend a resolve point and 10 minutes to regain all of your stamina points. This is sort of the heart of the variant rule, as this alone allows you to place many more encounters in a single day. Oftentimes, when you're playing a tabletop RPG, and Pathfinder's no exception, you'll have one big encounter, and then everybody's weak and out of spell slots and exhausted, and they can't do much more. With the stamina variant and Take a Breather, you can have a much longer day with multiple encounters through the day without just massacring your players, because each time they finish a fight, so long as they have resolve points, they can effectively just heal themselves back up for at least half of their health. This leads to much more interesting and deep days within your campaign, and allows you to throw more difficult encounters their way more frequently. Rally is basically treat wounds, but for stamina. You make an intimidation, diplomacy, or performance check and spend 1 minute encouraging your ally. If you critically succeed, they spend 1 resolve point to restore all their stamina, same as Take a Breather, just 9 minutes faster. If you normal succeed, you spend 10 minutes encouraging them, and they spend a resolve point to get all their stamina back, exactly the same as Take a Breather. And my favorite part is if you critically fail, your ally crumbles under the mental pressure and loses 1d8 mental points of stamina. It can never hurt their hit points, but it hurts their stamina. I have my own thoughts and opinions here, but I'll save those for the end of the video, so stick around. Finally, there's 2 new general feats that can be taken when using this variant rule. The first is Encouraging Words, which is basically battle medicine, but for diplomacy. If an ally was hurt and lost stamina within the last round, you can give him a pep talk to give him some stamina back. You attempt a diplomacy check of DC 15, and if you succeed, they get 1d8 stamina back. Not really that great. This does double to 2d8 on a critical success, and can be increased like battle medicine and treat wounds if you opt to try higher DCs. And also, just like Rally, if you critically fail, they crumble under the pressure and take 1d8 mental damage to their stamina points. The big benefit of Encouraging Words is that it's the only way to restore stamina that does not cost a resolve point, so it does get some bonus points there. The downside being you can only use it on each unique target once per day, just like battle medicine. And finally, Steal Your Resolve is just a really good general feat, which for 1 action and 1 resolve point, restores half of your max stamina. And that's pretty much everything the book has to say about the stamina variant rule, but we are not done yet. First off, there is a variant rule to this variant rule, if you prefer, known as No Limit Stamina. This completely removes the resolve point system, and makes all of these free instead of using resolve points. Something like Take a Breather can now be done an infinite number of times per day as long as the character has 10 minutes to rest. This basically makes the characters unstoppable and they never get exhausted, and it would make for a great action, just non-stop action. Maybe you want to play just an 8-hour non-stop combat session with your players in a dungeon crawl. This would be very useful for that, as they could just keep going without having to stop for an 8-hour full night's rest. I'm personally not a big fan of this one, as it just seems a little too easy. It also recommends removing the Steal Your Resolve feat completely, because they could just use that infinitely. But again, I don't want my players to have infinite healing, I just want them to have access to it even without a magical healer. Now I want to talk about the changes I would make to the stamina variant rule, because I think there's some things here that could have been done a lot better. First off, this whole table, the class stamina and class hit point table, flip it. Add your constitution modifier to the hit points, not to the stamina. The way it's set up works really well for the early levels, but once you reach levels 8 to 10, the gap between hit points and stamina points starts to really widen. Because every level your stamina is going up by your constitution, but your hit points are not. This makes healers in combat far less effective, because they can only heal you up to about 40% of your maximum hit points. If you're out of stamina points mid-combat and you can only be healed back up to 40%, well, you're still in critical hit range to be knocked out in one hit by a big enemy. There are some fixes to this, and I think they're pretty simple. I have 2 ideas. The first one is easy. Let healing spells restore stamina points. Maybe this would be a little too powerful and make the game too easy, but I don't think it would be that bad to allow healing spells to restore stamina. I mean, your max health is the same anyway. In the middle of an encounter, the stamina variant doesn't change that much. It mostly changes the post-encounter procedures. The second option is just to homebrew some stamina restoring spells and items like Gatorade, or just make a spell called Rejuvenate. Maybe it restores 1d8 stamina points per spell level, but at that point, why not just let Heal restore stamina points? If you're just going to use a different spell to do the exact same thing, I don't see what the problem would be. So I just recommend letting healing magic restore stamina. The next issue I have is with Rally. It's pretty pointless. The only time it's better than the standard Take a Breather action, seen here, is if you critically succeed. Now, the DC is always at 15, so I guess you'll probably always critically succeed at level 6 and onward. But if you normal succeed, it's the exact same effect as Take a Breather, just with different roleplay. And Rally runs the risk of hurting your ally if you roll a nat 1. My fix would be this. Increase the DC with character level. There's a whole system in place in Pathfinder to increase level DC along with your character level to keep things difficult. Now, take the critical success of a 1-minute stamina restoration, put that on the success. As for the critical success, which will be very difficult to do because of the scaling DC with character level, let the critical success not cost a resolve point. I think that would be perfect. It's very rare, but there might be a chance where you rally them so effectively, their resolve doesn't even diminish, and they're just back to fighting fit. But definitely keep the critical failure, because that is hilarious to me. Encouraging words is fine, I guess. I would just increase the success to 2d8 and the critical success to 4d8, just a la battle medicine. Especially with a higher percentage of your maximum health being stamina, 1d8 stamina restoration is not that much. Even 1d8 plus 5, if you do the expert DC 20, is still a maximum of 13 points restored. And they're immune for a full day. I'd say just make it as good as battle medicine, you know? And the last thing I would do with the stamina variant is just get creative with it. You could add, now this is for a very specific type of table who doesn't mind extra numbers and extra features, because I think it would be really interesting to add unique weapon traits and certain types of damage having certain bonus effects, such as the Exhaustion D4 trait on something like a hammer or a great club. So if you hit somebody, you deal an extra 1d4 damage, but only to their stamina. Now this would involve all enemies also using the stamina system, which granted could get very, very number crunchy very quickly and is not for everybody. But I think it could be very interesting and give those blunt weapons a real feeling of a cool bonus damage only in certain situations. You could do something similar to cold damage, also inflicting extra damage to stamina because it's cold. On the other end, I think certain things like negative damage would ignore stamina completely, and that would be really cool if negative damage went directly to hit points and not stamina. That would make negative damage really, really powerful. And even if the players don't have these, it would be really fun to use against them. If they suffer damage from a spell, and you realize your stamina points are fine, you took this damage directly to your health, and they're like, that's a problem, we gotta kill him! And I think that would be really, really cool. You can do a lot with the stamina system, and I really recommend everybody tries it out at least once. Is it the ultimate replacement and the way to play Pathfinder? Absolutely not. Honestly, I think the stamina system, outside of specific circumstances, will just overcomplicate and slow down your game. However, it is perfect for those gritty survival campaigns where every single hit point matters. Make a group of level 1 heroes, trap them in a jungle or on a deserted island, and watch them vie for survival against the elements. The stamina system will let them do a lot more each day before being forced to rest for the night. And that's all I got time for, folks, so thank you so much for watching the shorter video. Sorry the last few days have been shorter videos. They've just been things that I've been wanting to cover and trying to figure out the best way to do it. Plus, I've been a little bit busy, so I've been having to spend time elsewhere. But I appreciate you watching. If you really enjoyed the video, leave a like, please subscribe. We are really close to 2,500, which is crazy, by the way. Oh my word, it's nuts. I just want to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for pledging. You help me do what I do. I want to give a shout out to all of you for watching. Leave a comment if you've played with the stamina system, if you plan to play with it, some unique ideas and twists you would make to it. I want to hear from you guys. So let me know down in the comments. Thank you so very much for watching. And until next time, no nat ones. Around levels 8 to 10 and onward, your hit points only make up about 40... I didn't ask for Weird Al. I'm gonna get copyright struck!